Hello everyone, in this video we are going to work on data transformation. So in chapter 3 you have learned data visualization, which is an important tool for insight generation. But it is very rare that you get the data in exactly the right form as you need it. So in this chapter, we are going to learn the techniques to prepare the data. You may need to rename the variables. Sometimes you may need to reorder the observations. And sometimes you may need to only select a few variables within the dataset, or you may only want to select some of the records in the dataset. So that's why you want to learn data transformation, and I'm going to split the whole chapter into 2 videos. So this is the part 1. So first of all, I created a new R script, and in this topic, I'm going to type it here. It is called data transformation, and sometimes you may call it data manipulation. So you are actually preparing the data to the way as you need it. And to work on this chapter, you need to install 2 packages. The first package is called flight, is about a flight data, and the package name is called NYC flights 13. And then you want to install another package that is named as dplyr. And for this first package, we run it because we are going to use a data set from this package. And most of the important functions in this chapter are from the dplyr package. So that's why you want to use install this package as well. Yeah, so once you finish typing install.packages of the 2 packages there, you just click to run them. So you can click to run the first package. It will take a minute. And then you can click to run the second package, the second line. And then once you finish, you can use library function on that package, as well as the dplyr package. So I run this 4th line because I have installed dplyr before, so I just click library on that package and make sure you have 2 blue lines in the console, which means the 2 packages are installed successfully. And now let's look at our dataset. The dataset we are going to use is called flights. So one thing you can do is just to run the name of the dataset. And like you are going to see a table with year, variable, month, day, departure time, scheduled departure time, and so on. There are many variables in this dataset. One thing you can check is to check the dimension of this dataset, how many records you have and how many variables you have. Another thing you can do is to run the question mark on this dataset, which will print out the description of the dataset. So it is a one-time data for all flights that departed New York City in 2013. And all the variables have their definitions here in this document. So you are able to see all the variables there. And for dplyr package, there are many useful functions within this package. The first function is called filter function, which is used to pick observations by their values. And the second function is called arrange. And this function is for reorder the rows. So sometimes you may want to reorder the records according to to a variable from the smallest to the largest. And another function is called select. So this is like manipulating the columns, the variable names. You're just picking the variables that you need in your analysis. So then again, we have a mutate variable, which is for creating new variables based on existing variables. This is a very useful function because you can actually create new variables by combining some of the variables or just do calculations on other variables. The last one is called summarize. And this one is like its name. You are creating some summary statistics, and then you can generate a very beautiful table, very organized table for the summary statistics. So in this video, let's focus on the first two options here. We have a filter and we have a range. So think about the flights data. Like we do have year data, but the data set, the whole data set is in 2013. So the year information, I believe, is all in that same year. So let's suppose my first question is that I want to select get the data on January 1st. So I only want to get the data, the one-time data for all flights that departed New York City in January 1st, on January 1st of 2013. So I only want to get the data on that specific day. And that can be done using filter function because we are actually picking observations by their values. So what we can do here is to use filter and then the dataset name, and then what we want to specify, we put it in there. Now, what we did here is just to specify the month variable equals 1 and the day variable equals 1. So we are only filtering the data according to the two variables in the dataset. So we can run the dataset and we can see the variables are actually still there, but we are only having 842 records. Another method to do this operation is to use the pipes. Pipes is like a pipeline so that you can start with the dataset name and then you add the pipe operation, and then you can type filter and then you specify the two variable values as needed. So this is like a new operation. It's a pipeline operation, and I'm using a MacBook, so I can use Shift, Command, and letter M to type the notation here. Let me type it here. Shift, Command, and letter M. So if you are using a different computer, you may want to search on that. How do you type a pipe operation in one click? So let's run this line and see. So we still have the data set, the same data set, but we are operating the data in a different way. They are the same though. You're getting the same result. But I like the pipe operation because after that you can actually name that newer data set as January data. So if I run this line, if I add this operation here and give it an underlying data, and I can click here to see the data set I have. So maybe later on we only use the pipe operations to talk about the functions, the operations in the package dplyr. Now you can have a practice. So suppose my second question is to get the data on December 25th, which is on Christmas, right? So what you can do? So you can easily do that by type flies, the dataset name, the pipe, and then you specify month double equal 12 and day double equal 25. And then you can name the dataset and save it into a dataset named as Christmas data. And then you can run that line and you can see Christmas data is saved here, and you can click to open it. You are seeing the dataset all on the month of 12 and the day at 25. So that's the filter function. You can see we are only changing the records you have because we are only cutting the data according to specific values of the variables you have. We are not cutting the variables. You are still having 19 variables as the original data set. Now let's talk about the conditions you can use. So as I said, filter function can help you pick observations by their values, right? So this is like picking observations according to values from two variables. And sometimes you can actually do more operations. Like you can use conditions such as greater than or equals, smaller than or equals. And also you can talk about something that is not equal, and also some operations that are equal. So you can use so many operations when you picking the values in the data set. And let's use a third example to talk about this. So suppose my third question is that I want to select the data set that is not on December. So what you can do here is to type the dataset name, add the pipe, and then filter the data because I said the data that is not from December, and you know that the operation should be on the month variable. So when you use filter function, you just type months and then you use that does not equal sign. You don't want it to be 12, and there is no need to specify month equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like that. So you just let it does not equal to 12, and then you can save it to no December data. And you can actually click the table here and then look at the records here. So you can see the months are starting from January to November, and the days, you have all the days you have from the months from January to November. There is no December data. There are also other operations that you can combine two conditions together. Like, let me give you a random example. You may want to select the data that is on Christmas and that the departure delay time is greater than 5, like 5 minutes. So what you can do is to, first of all, let me type. So that's like I'm adding conditions to the questions. And what you can do is to still type the dataset name, add a pipe, and you're still operating the records according to specific values of the variables. So you want to let the month 12 and day equals 25. And now we are talking about the delay. So the delay variable is departure delay. So we are talking about the departure delay. what we can do is to let the departure delay, DEP_delay, is more than 5 minutes. So what you can do is to add the greater than 5 minutes. And then you can run this. I believe you get a data set that is much smaller than the Christmas data, but you can still save it to Christmas delay data, right? More than 5 minutes. So if you run that line, you have a Christmas delay data created like this one, and you can click to open it. Like you only have 188 entries, and for the Christmas data, the full Christmas data, you actually have 719 entries. So that's the difference. And you can think about adding more and more conditions, but those are the operations that you can use to select the values. Now let's go to our second operation. The second operation is named as arrange. So as I said, you want to reorder the values you have. It only changes the data order. It will not change like picking values or selecting columns. Example, so if I do flies and then add the pipe, and then I arrange the data according to year, month, and day, then that means I'm arranging the dataset, the full flies dataset, by the year variable and then the day, the month, and then the day. So I can save that as arranged data and then run that. And then you can click to open the arranged data. We have the full records in this data set, but the data is listed from like the earliest date to the last day of that year. So you can see if you because the data set is so large, but the data is arranged in that way, from smallest to largest, according to the variables in order. And another thing is that you may want to arrange the data in a descending order. So if you want to do that, then you want to use arrange function with another function that is called DESC, like which is the descending. And then you can do that by flies arrange. And suppose I want to arrange the data, rearrange the data according to departure delay in a descending order. So this is my goal and my fifth question here. So I want to rearrange the data in that way, and the variable I'm rearranging to is departure delay. And because I want to have a descending order, like from the largest to the smallest of that variable, then I want to add that function out of the variable name, but inside the arrange function. And I'm going to name it as DSC departure and then data. So let me just use that name here. And then you can click to open the data set. We still have the full data set, but if you look at the column of departure delay, you can see we have the largest value, a little bit smaller, smaller, and smaller. So it's in a descending order. The next video, we're going to work on select, mutate, and summarize. See you later.